Today, we will be going over the latest and the greatest in the Roblox anime community. From well-known new games about to release to some lesser-known games about to release, you'll find it all here in Ro Anime News. So by far the biggest news this week is on Anime Legends. Now this is one of the most hyped up anime games in Roblox history ever since they dropped a trailer that shocked everyone back in 2021. Now this game has been in a development for a very long time, and I made light of that in a comment which sits at the top of their newest teaser which they just dropped. So the teaser does show a lot of what people have been wanting to see, because they've gone for a very long time with basically being inactive in their Discord and not showing any sneak peeks pertaining to the game. And this one, well, it delivered on most of the things that we wanted anyway. It shows the good graphics, it shows the combat, it shows what everybody wanted and expected by now. Now that said, the game has been in development since before World War II, so of course we'd expect that much from the game, but other people are also accusing the game of being a reskin of Anime Warriors, but just open world. Now Anime Warriors was the dev studio's game that they released before this game, and it was more for funding, and yeah, it died very quickly. Now that said, of course this was just a very small sneak peek. I personally think that it's still way too early to make a judgment call on what it's gonna be like, but hopefully we're going to get more and more information about the game, because as it stands right now, people are a little worried about, you know, what update speeds are going to be and when the game's actually going to release. But regardless, we have a very credible source which has given us a little insight on its potential release date. So as you can see here, we have a time frame. We have that at the very least. Only time will tell if the game is going to release at this time and if it will actually be good when it does. And then we have Legacy Piece. Now this is going to be the next big One Piece game on Roblox. Probably. And let me tell you why. Because it follows the general formula you'll see with the fruits to the graphics that look eerily similar to another game I know. Cough. Anyway, I think pretty soon you'll see a bunch of YouTubers saying, "This is the new game that made me divorce my wife and kids." But anyway, the game is actually pretty fun, and I do think that it has a lot going for it, and it's actually not a bandit beater. Despite some of you suffering from mental illness and thinking bandit beaters are games with NPCs, this game is actually pretty decent. Now, the game doesn't really have you repeating quests. I think it does have some pretty interesting systems, and of course, the combat is actually very fun from what I've played, but again, it's just your typical One Piece game. Nothing too shockingly new, but nothing that really sets off any red flags for me that says this is going to be a terrible game. I think that this game is also made by the same developer that had this one MHA game that released a while back, which was alright, I guess. And the systems are very similar, so expect it to be more of that game, but basically One Piece. So if you didn't like that one, you're not gonna like this one, but if you did like it, then you'll probably like this one. Now that said, if you guys want me to make a solo video on this, I will. Let me know in the comments. Up next, Fire Force Online is about to release. Now this game was a Fire Force based close community which has been going on for a while. Now I've been in the Discord, but I haven't touched the game until now when they actually said that, you know, they're going to go ahead and release it fully. Now it's definitely a very community based game, so we'll see if that's going to translate well into a full game. I've played a bit of it and I had a decent time. I like the variety of abilities, I like the basic combat system, kind of reminded me of games like Mighty Omega and stuff like that, but overall the gameplay wasn't too crazy, just a simple good time for a Fire Force fan. But I did like the questing system. The questing is actually not just beating up bandits, you actually see that it's a lot of locating stuff and a lot of kind of CC based quests that you'd see in games like NO2 back in the day. I'm sure there's a lot more systems that I haven't touched right now, but I have to say the game is pretty solid from what I've seen for a close community game at that. Admittedly, I did encounter some bugs. It might not be as polished and refined to release, that's just my personal opinion, but overall I think that, you know, if you like games like this, you know what you're getting into, and you'll probably like this too. In other news, Arcane Lineage, yes, it has just released, and it's a turn-based MMO with some hardcore elements. Now, I'll say one thing about this game. I promise you, on Roblox, you've probably never played a game like it. It has a lot of systems that made me go, wow, that's pretty cool. And honestly, I actually really like the concept. Even if there is some features that had me pulling my hair out, I think I can really respect the developers for trying to do something new. And the community are die-hard. I'm telling you, this has one of the most toxic and most die-hard communities I've ever seen for a Roblox game since Deepwoken. Now that said, this game, it has very intricate systems, so it's not going to be for everyone, admittedly. But if you do like games in this genre, you should definitely go check it out. But again, it's very clear that this game is actually a passion project, definitely not a cash grab. And you know, I'm actually really glad to see that it's doing decently well, because the developers really took a chance on releasing a game like this onto a platform, because of course the Roblox community is very brain dead, so I thought that this would be a bit too high caliber for them, but it seems that people have responded pretty well. That said, not much else to say on this game. Pretty good if you like the genre, you know, go check it out. And then we have Clover Rebirth. So what is Clover Rebirth? Now, as the namesake implies, this is a Black Clover game. Now, Black Clover might be a terrible anime, but this is not a terrible game. So I ended up joining up and playing a bit of it. It's actually pretty good. Now, there's lots of videos on this game on YouTube now, but when I played it, it was much more underground, and I'm sure that they've added a lot more to the game. It's overall, I'd say that it's pretty solid. What they do have going for it is that it's pretty aesthetic. I think that the moves look pretty cool, and there actually has a main quest line that you're able to follow. So it's not just the boring gameplay loop we see in most anime games. Now, I like what they were going for here. There's a lot of different systems and a lot of stuff to do, lots of different endgame content as well. It's clear that they wanted this to have sort of a community aspect to it. But what I will say is, I don't know if I'm trash at the combat, but it does not feel fluid sometimes. Sometimes I'll be like, wow, this NPC should not be hitting me, or wow, this player is not good at the game, why am I dying? Sometimes the combat makes you want to rip your hair out, but other times it can actually be pretty fun. But again, this is another game that I will say needs a lot more polish before it can actually be mainstream. Has tons of potential, but it's not quite there yet in my opinion. With that said, still worth checking out. And next we have True Heart Champions Road. Now this game is a Hajime no Ippo game. Now we don't get many of those on Roblox, which is why I think that this is pretty cool. Now this game is actually pretty original in its systems, and its combat system is actually something very original to anime games. It's not the basic 4-hit M1 string that you'll see in most games these days. Now a game based all around boxing and as a boxer in real life, this is a game that I'm most definitely very excited about. Now I have played some of it and the game definitely is really cool, and I see it has a lot of potential here. People are already making different organizations and like building a reputation in the game, and I think that it definitely could be a big game on this platform, if you like games in the genre, that is. Now that said, I do think that there's a lot more things that can be added to it. Content is sparse, but the game is pretty early in development, so I'm looking out to see what the devs add next. And then you all need to join my Discord. That wasn't a suggestion, that was a demand. Yes, go ahead and join. We will be bringing you the newest anime games and the newest news. If you want to talk about relevant topics in the community, that's your go-to. We always got channels for that, and we're overall just a good community. So go ahead and join that, and if you don't, I will murder your entire family. That said, if you made it this far, it's clear that you like the content on this channel, so you might as well subscribe. I'll bring you the most menacing content on this you can depend. Join me for future episodes. Until we meet again.
I can persevere, go forward on my own. There's a bright and shining pure light, come through the darkness of the night. Now I can't help crying for my life, in this endless time that I live inside.